Have you ever noticed that sometimes the people you do the most for are the same? People who appreciate you the least? You give them your time. You listen to their problems. You help them when they need you. You show them kindness, respect, and loyalty. But instead of valuing you more, they slowly start expecting more from you. Your kindness becomes something they feel entitled to. Your availability becomes something they take for granted. And the person who once appreciated your presence starts acting like they can never lose you. This is one of the most painful experiences in human relationships. Because the truth is, sometimes people don't ignore your value because you have no value. They ignore it because they have become too comfortable receiving everything from you without giving anything back. Human beings often stop noticing things that are always available. Think about something simple. When you first get something new, you appreciate it. You protect it. You notice every little detail. But after having it for a long time, you become familiar with it. You stop seeing its importance. The same thing can happen with people. When you are always there, always saying yes, always forgiving, and always putting others before yourself, some people stop seeing your kindness as a gift. They start seeing it as something they deserve. And this is where many people make a mistake. They believe that if they give more love, more attention, and more effort, people will finally understand their worth. But respect does not always come from giving more. Sometimes respect comes from showing people that your time, your energy, and your presence have value. The first step to changing how people treat you is understanding this. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. If someone constantly disrespects you and you continue accepting it, they learn that their behavior has no consequences. This does not mean you should become cold or stop caring about others. It means you need boundaries. A person with boundaries is not a person who hates others. A person with boundaries is someone who understands their own worth. The people who truly value you will respect your limits. The people who only valued what you provided will become uncomfortable when you stop giving them unlimited access to you. And that reaction tells you something important. It shows whether they cared about you or only cared about what you did for them. In this video, we will explore powerful psychological principles that can help you stop being taken for granted, build stronger respect, and change the way people see your presence. These are not tricks to control people. They are lessons about self-respect, confidence, and understanding human behavior. Stay until the end, because the final principles are the ones that can completely change the way you approach relationships. One of the biggest reasons people stop respecting you is because they know you will always be there, no matter how they treat you. When someone believes they can hurt you, ignore you, or disrespect you, and you will still stay, they stop seeing your presence as something valuable. This is not because you are weak. Actually, many kind people have a strong heart. They care deeply. They forgive easily. They want to see the best in others. But kindness without boundaries can slowly destroy your own value. Imagine a person who has a door that is always open. Anyone can enter at any time. They can come when they need something and leave whenever they want. Over time, people stop appreciating the door because they know it will always be open. But when that door finally has limits, people start realizing that access is not guaranteed. Your attention, your time, and your energy are valuable. You should not give them to everyone who asks for them. One powerful change you can make is learning to become less available. This does not mean ignoring people or pretending to be someone you are not. It means understanding that you also have a life, goals, and priorities. A person who respects themselves does not drop everything every time someone calls. They understand that their own needs matter too. Many people make the mistake of trying too hard to be liked. They answer immediately every time. They always agree. They constantly explain themselves. They try to prove that they are a good person. But the more you try to convince people of your worth, the more power you give them over your confidence. Your value does not come from how much you can do for others. Your value comes from who you are. Another important principle is learning how to say no. For many people, saying no feels uncomfortable because they are afraid of disappointing others. They think that refusing something will make people leave them. But the opposite is often true. People who genuinely respect you will understand your boundaries. People who only liked your unlimited kindness will become upset when you start protecting yourself. And that reaction reveals their true intentions. Remember this: you do not lose the right people when you set boundaries. You lose the people who only benefited from your lack of boundaries. A strong person is not someone who never helps others. A strong person is someone who knows when to give and when to protect their own energy. Because if you constantly give from an empty place, eventually you will have nothing left to give. Respect begins when you start treating yourself like someone valuable, when you stop chasing approval, when you stop begging for attention, and when you finally understand that your presence is something that should be appreciated, not something that should be taken for granted. In the next part, we will talk about another powerful change that can completely transform the way people see you. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to force others to recognize their value. They explain themselves too much. They try to prove they are a good person. They chase people who are slowly losing interest. But the more you chase someone's attention, the less valuable your presence becomes in their eyes. Human psychology works in an interesting way. People often appreciate things more when they understand that they can lose them. This does not mean you should play games or pretend not to care. It means you should stop giving unlimited access to people who do not respect your presence. A person who knows their worth does not beg someone to stay. They do not constantly remind others about everything they have done for them. They simply focus on becoming a better version of themselves. Build your skills, improve your health, work on your goals, create a life that does not depend on someone else's attention or approval. Because when your happiness depends completely on another person, you give them control over your emotions. But when you build your own world, something changes. You become more confident. You become calmer. You stop needing constant validation from others, and people start noticing that difference. Confidence is not about being the loudest person in the room. It is not about proving that you are better than everyone else. Real confidence is quiet. It is knowing who you are, even when nobody is watching. Another powerful habit is learning to control your reactions. Many people lose respect because they allow others to control their emotions. Someone ignores them, and they immediately become desperate. Someone criticizes them, and they feel the need to explain themselves. Someone disrespects them, and they react with anger. But emotional control is a sign of strength. When you can stay calm while others expect you to react, you show that you are in control of yourself. Remember, not every action deserves your reaction. Sometimes silence is more powerful than an argument. Sometimes walking away says more than trying to explain yourself for hours. The person who truly values you will notice your absence. The person who only valued what you provided will only notice what they lost. You cannot force someone to appreciate you. You cannot force someone to respect you. But you can decide what kind of treatment you accept. And once you change what you accept, you change the way people approach you. Your standards become your message. Your actions become your explanation. You no longer need to convince people that you deserve respect. You simply show it through the way you live. In the next part, we will talk about another powerful change that can completely transform the way people see you. Many people believe that being needed by others means being valued. They think that if they are always available, always helping, and always solving problems, people will appreciate them more. But sometimes the opposite happens. When you make yourself available to everyone at every moment, people can start seeing your presence as something normal instead of something special. Your time becomes expected. Your effort becomes invisible. And your kindness becomes something people simply assume they will always receive. This is why one of the most powerful changes you can make is learning to protect your energy. You do not have to answer every message immediately. You do not have to explain every decision you make. You do not have to prove your importance to people who refuse to see it. A person with self-respect understands that their energy is limited. They choose carefully where they invest their time, attention, and emotions. This creates something powerful. It creates respect. Because people usually value things that require effort and cannot be easily replaced. Think about someone who always agrees with everyone. Over time, people may stop asking what they really think because they already know they will say yes. But a person who has their own opinions, their own standards, and their own boundaries becomes more respected. Being kind does not mean being available all the time. Being understanding does not mean accepting everything. And being a good person does not mean allowing others to treat you however they want. Another important lesson is this: stop trying to convince people who have already decided not to appreciate you. Some people will only understand your value after they lose access to you. not because you wanted revenge, not because you wanted to hurt them, but because your absence allows them to finally notice what your presence was providing. Sometimes people do not miss the person. They miss the comfort, support, and attention that person gave them. That is why you should never measure your worth by how much someone needs you. Your worth exists even when nobody is asking for anything from you. The strongest people are not those who are accepted by everyone. The strongest people are those who can walk away from situations that damage their peace. They understand that losing someone who does not respect them is not a loss. It is a form of self-respect. When you stop chasing approval, something changes inside you. You become more peaceful. You become more focused. And you start attracting people who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. Remember this: the right people do not need you to destroy yourself to prove your love. The right people respect your boundaries because they respect you. In the next part, we will talk about the final principles that can help you completely change the way people see your value. At the end of the day, the way people treat you often reflects the way you see yourself. If you constantly ignore your own needs, accept disrespect, and allow people to cross your boundaries, you are teaching them that your value can be ignored. But when you start respecting yourself, something changes. You become more confident. You become more peaceful. You stop looking for approval from people who never truly appreciated you. Remember, your goal is not to make everyone like you. That is impossible. Your goal is to become someone who respects themselves enough to walk away from what destroys their peace. You do not need to become a cold person. You do not need to stop caring. You do not need to change your good heart. You only need to understand that your kindness should have limits. Give your energy to people who value it. Give your time to people who respect it. Give your love to people who appreciate it. Because the right people will never make you feel like you have to beg for basic respect. They will see your value without you having to prove it. But before you can expect others to value you, you have to start valuing yourself. Stop chasing people who only remember you when they need something. Stop trying to prove your worth to people who refuse to see it. Stop sacrificing your happiness just to keep someone else comfortable. Your life changes when you decide that your peace is more important than being accepted by everyone. The moment you choose yourself, you send a powerful message. You tell the world that your time matters, your energy matters, your presence matters. And from that moment, the way people see you begins to change. So take these lessons seriously. Do not just listen to these words and forget them tomorrow. Apply them. Set your boundaries. Respect yourself. Walk away from what hurts you. Build yourself into the person you always wanted to become. Because the greatest revenge is not making someone suffer. The greatest revenge is becoming so strong, so confident, and so focused that their opinion no longer controls your happiness. The people who underestimated you may notice your change. The people who ignored you may wonder what happened. But the most important thing is that you finally recognize your own value. You were never created to be someone's option. You were never created to constantly prove that you deserve respect. You deserve respect because you are a human being with your own goals, dreams, and worth. Start today. Make the changes. Take action. And never forget, the moment you stop accepting less than you deserve is the moment your life begins to change. If you enjoyed this video and want more psychology and self-improvement content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.